Hi there, I'm Catherine from PowerDecks, and yes, I'm an avatar. We thought we'd get that out of the way early. Everything else you're about to hear comes from Manuel and the PowerDecks team. Let me quickly share a recent case study we think you'll find useful. This is an investor pitch deck we engineered for AnalystPro, a B2B fintech company raising a bridge round. Their platform transformed high-stakes spreadsheet modeling through data lineage and agentic AI. When they came to us, they knew something wasn't quite right. They also knew they weren't fully ready to face serious investor conversations. Their deck had good intentions and strong underlying content, but several critical elements weren't working. First, the deck wasn't clear or easily skimmable. Second, the story felt fragmented. There was strong material in places, but no clear investor narrative guiding the reader. The problem and the stakes weren't landing with enough urgency. The positioning felt more like a product walkthrough than a category-defining opportunity. Some key slides were there, but they didn't reinforce one another. They felt scattered, without a clear flow or cohesion. And finally, the deck was simply too long. Not because extra slides are always a problem, but because the narrative wasn't engaging enough to carry the reader smoothly from one idea to the next. In short, the ingredients were there, but the story wasn't landing with investors. So in a nutshell, what did we do? We rebuilt the deck from the ground up around a single investor-led narrative. We clarified the real problem, who feels it most, and why it matters now. By creating a new backbone for the deck, we sharpened the positioning so the company showed up as infrastructure, not a feature. Once the backbone was in place, we rewrote the content to align with the story, the brand, and the language that the specific type of investor would understand and respond to. We simplified the complexity without dumbing it down. And finally, we engineered the flow so that each slide answered the investor's mindset just before the natural question appeared in their mind, allowing every slide to earn the next. On the visual side, we didn't reinvent their branding, we leveraged it. Once the narrative and content were in place, we focused on translating that story into a clear visual structure. We created some visual assets and diagrams, working strictly within the brand guidelines they shared with us. We elevated clarity, hierarchy, and flow across the deck. We made the story feel sharper and more confident. And we established a clear hierarchy on each slide, based on what investors needed to understand first, second, and next. Worth noting, while we were still polishing some of the final details, the deck was already being shared with investors, and the company successfully raised off the back of it. We're sharing this not as a look how pretty the new deck is example, but to give you a concrete sense of how we think about investor psychology, how we turn complexity into conviction, and how narrative, content, and design work together, not in isolation. Much of this thinking, we believe, is directly applicable to pre-seed, seed, bridge, or Series A rounds, and to any similar business operating in a comparable context, especially when the challenge isn't a lack of substance, but making the investment narrative land clearly and confidently with VCs. Here's a short testimonial from Joe, which he shared shortly after working with us.
Highly recommended, Manuel helped come in from an outside perspective and simplify our technical product with industry jargon into a clear and cohesive narrative for any reader. His fresh perspective and wealth of expertise on refining the narrative have been significantly valuable before starting design. Following the narrative, the design is extremely high quality and fast and effective iteration cycles. We're already getting very positive feedback and results.
And that's it. We hope you found this case study relevant and that it gave you a bit of insight into what can be achieved when narrative, content, and design come together the right way. If you feel you might benefit from a similar outcome and would like to learn more about how we work, including our process, scope, guarantees, and pricing, just reach out to Manuel, our director, and we'll happily share the details. Thanks for watching and speak soon.